I'm just gonna go check on the container garden this morning. I haven't really done anything with it since the last big storm a couple of days ago, so let's just see how everything is. Looks like my marigolds are doing okay. My two baby Roma tomato plants are doing okay. One of them has set fruit. Wow. I think I'm going to take this one out. It's definitely the smaller of the two. I might restart it somewhere else. I haven't decided yet. This sunflower is about 4 feet tall now. Had a little bug damage, but he survived. These chives are doing good. I'm going to be harvesting those soon and chopping them up. This tomato cutting survived 90-mile-per-hour winds. Kind of cool. So I took this tomato cutting from another plant that was getting overgrown, and I placed it in with one of my sunflowers because that was the closest thing I had at the time. It's only been in here now for 3 days, and it wilts, of course, when it gets really hot, but then it stands back up in the morning so far. If I can just keep the bugs off it, it'd be great. Today is June 21st, and as you guys know, all through Texas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, Arkansas, and Tennessee, and probably other states, there were tornadoes and storms and straight line winds, and this thing made it through. Most of the leaves were battered really bad on this thing during the storm, so we actually chopped off a bunch of those branches. It even fell over like 3 times. But the fruit wasn't damaged, so I mean, we've still got a few on there, and I might just put this thing out of its misery. I'm not really sure how big boys are gonna get when it's constantly faced with storms and outrageous heat. This little guy also survived, and it has put on a couple of fruit. Really happy for it. The bugs are killing my little poblano pepper, and yet there's hope dangling right there. My cherry tomatoes are starting to turn. First tomato of the season. Let's test it. Mm. Um, the fungus did stop after I used neem, like you guys saw in one of my videos. I just didn't bother clipping out the leaves because I'm so scared to. It would just, it would just look horrible and bare, and I want to make sure it has enough chlorophyll to be able to make its own food. These beans are starting to go all over the place. They've had a little bit of bug damage, but not really. We've got a few beanies growing in there. It looks horrible. I mean, absolutely bare, and apparently they like that. They're growing like crazy. These cherry tomatoes are about a month old, and they're just now putting on some fruit here. There's still 3 in here. I'm still having to feed them every day with a sprayer. I showed on a video how I mix a low-dose fertilizer, and I just spray the little hairy root system out here. That's kind of how I keep them going. Has 3 in a pot. This is also 3 in the same pot, and they're starting to set on blossoms, and I feed them the same way, although I think I'm going to cut off a few leaves, make it easier for them. This one was really battered in the storm. The big cherry tomato pot over there kind of fell on it and kind of made this kind of squishy. But it put on blossoms anyway. My sacrificial beans are still doing okay. Well, okay, I take that back. There's a leaf right there that looks a little distraught. You can see it's doing its job. The bugs are definitely coming over here. My little cherry tomato is doing okay. This is one of the bathroom seedlings that came out about 4 weeks ago. I don't think it's been a month yet. These are black cherry tomato seedlings. I'm going to whittle it down to 2 vines once they get a little bigger and I see who survives. Beans, 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 and what the heck? I did not plant any squash in here. I wonder. I'm beginning to think I know what's been happening when I see strange seeds in other pots. There are squirrels now because there aren't as many stray cats around here. And I believe the squirrels are digging in my pots and moving my seeds after I plant them. This is a cutting that I took from one of the tomatoes at the Arkansas farm, and it's doing okay. It's surviving. I got a little bit of diatomaceous earth on the leaf. Hope it will be okay. There used to be squash in this pot. There used to be a big one, and there was a borer inside the stem that pretty much ate it from the inside out. So now there's going to be a couple beans going up this side of the trellis. When I discovered the squash vine borer in that one, I went over to these, and there was actually a few leaves starting to go limp in this one, and I got a knife and I went to stabbing in the stem. You can see it, and man, squash are resilient. I suppose I could have videoed that for you guys. There is probably still a little bit of dead worm or grub left in it, but yeah, I didn't think about grabbing a camera. I just thought about stabbing the little bugger to death. There were 4 black cherry tomatoes in here. There's 3, and I'm going to be weeding out this little one in the middle in a little bit. These are also black cherry tomatoes. There's 4 in here as well, and I'm going to weed out 2. These beans have started up the trellis already. This is the tomato that was, hey, look at there. I can't even catch him. That bee is so... He had pollen on his legs. That was a good sign. Hey, look, blossoms. So anyway, this tomato, and there were about 7 peppers, which I cut most of them out. They were in this little pot here, which now has radishes, and I moved them to this bigger one. You know, if you're asking, why do I keep putting different vegetables and plants in with others, and why do I put so many in? I need to experiment. I just have a need to. If a few plants die on my watch, oh well. I'll let you guys figure out what kind of flower this is. In the meantime, the onions look okay. These beans are doing okay as well. They've been hit several times by aphids. The ants were just bringing them on in hordes. Hordes, not the way it sounded with my southern accent. This little sweet pepper has survived also the storms, and when it gets a little bit bigger, I'm going to put it in a big pot by itself. This basil's really coming up. And see, look, basil. This arugula will not die. This is a cutting that's not doing very well. Even though it's set on blossoms as a cutting, it's really weird. I believe that the intense heat is a little bit too much for it. These onions are doing great. That cutting I just took off of the other tree, I've already trimmed it, and I stuck it in this dirt because I don't know what to do with it just yet, and then it'll be okay even if I have to dig it out with a little dirt around it or move the onions. They'll be harvested. These are great also. My daughter and son have already pulled up a little bit of their onion, and these two are about the same age as theirs. Probably time. I can pull some of this now. Anybody want some? Anyway, those radishes got drowned in the last storm. Check out those babies. They're growing. These tomatoes are growing despite the storm as well. They were drowned pretty bad also. They even started turning yellow. More drowned radishes. I mean, really, that was a really bad storm. And they keep coming. The weather is very unpredictable. Or is it? These are summer squash seedlings that I started inside, and they've just been outside to harden. So they'll be planted in their individual, pots. I planted 2 in every one, and you can see most of them weren't fertile. Even if it's a reputable company, you really, unless they pollinated the seed or the flowers themselves, you really can't guarantee that the seeds are going to be fertilized. So I do check. That guy was in my face. Why would the spider try to build a web while I'm recording? Ugh. So anyway, the cilantro is going crazy down here. The arugula is holding on up there. It's staying green, and it's definitely keeping, the bugs occupied up there, as you can see, and letting the cilantro that I'm going to turn into seed grow. My carrot's doing really well in there. I think I'm going to let it stay there. I moved the trichina to the back because it's been raining so much. I don't want to drown a desert plant. There's cilantro in my little mayo recycled jar. It's plastic. There's more cilantro I'm letting go to seed because I want the seeds. There are my sacrificial beans in the back. You can see the bugs are definitely preferring them. And to see how prolific beans are, this bean here has actually put a pot on. Odd, especially as bug damaged and riddled as they are with critters. So yeah, this squash is in a bowl, and honestly, I didn't think it would make it to bloom. One of the blooms was bitten off, and I even found a bite mark, so I believe a squirrel has come up here too. But it's doing quite well. I did get some diatomaceous earth on the leaves a little bit, but no fungus or anything, so kind of proud of it. I'm just waiting for those squash bugs to find it and try to lay an egg in it. So if you look around, you'll see that I have my stuff in like a ton of different type containers. Well, these don't count because they're going to be planted into their own individual pots later. But you never know where life's going to take you. You never know what kind of resources you will have at your disposal. So it's best to learn how to grow things, what works, what doesn't work, in what kind of container, how many you can put in, what you can mix with them. I want to be able to use what I have at the moment and be able to make something from it. I want to be able to use my resources and be able to creatively grow things. If it's a trash can you get at Walmart for $1.99, if it's 3 little milk crates that your kids put their crayons in. I mean, I have a nasturtium here which just will not take off. I have cilantro and I have 1 carrot, all in the same bucket. Why in the world do I keep mixing things up? Why did I take a bowl that was designed to put salads and fruit at a picnic and plant a squash in it? Why do I not put everything in these plant pots that were designed for this type of situation? Why do I put things in buckets that you use for car washes that you buy for $1.87? Since you don't know what resources you're going to have, why not decide, now, while you have experimentation time, to determine if you can grow something in something other than what is actually designed for it. So yeah, I'm gonna get a dollar store home decor container. I'm gonna reuse a mayo jar and plant some cilantro in it. I'm gonna take clearance Easter egg collection buckets for 24 cents. I'm gonna take the salad bowls that I got on clearance after um, Memorial Day. I'm gonna take the little containers that you put your kids' crayons and toys in and zip tie them together and create my own container. I'm gonna take chicken wire that you get for $10 a roll and make a trellis out of it. And I'm even gonna take a trash can and put some onions in it. Whatever works for different situations is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to keep experimenting and pushing the limits of how many tomatoes I can put in one pot and still get a harvest. I'm going to plant a ton of sunflowers and throw some nasturtium in there just to see what's going to happen. And yeah, I'm going to keep throwing beans in the middle of everything that I plant to see if the bugs will go to something that's a little less protected than my plants, just to see what'll happen. Because I need to know that I can use my resources wisely. I forgot to take my shoes off, and there's diatomaceous earth footprints all in the house. Thank you guys for going along with me today. I need to clean up this diatomaceous earth I tracked in the house, and I need to put some alcohol on these shears and get them all cleaned off.
Yeah, there's no way Roomba can get this up.